Now that our front porch has a roof over it, we still need to make some fairly dramatic modifications to it. If we zoom in here, you can see that we have quite a few ventilation and drainage issues that need to be taken care of to begin with, as well as a floating front porch roof, which just isn't going to work out too well. So we need to come in and start to add the structure here and have that structure be supported by these columns down here below. Now, this is going to be fairly simple for us to do. One other thing that I'm going to point out is I am currently leaving these walls at their current height. It's true I could select them and say attach top base just like I did over here with these other walls in order to bring it up to the roof. The only real question is whether or not that's required. The reasoning is that this could end up either being truss construction, and that's probably what's going to happen over the main bulk of this roof, or it could end up being stick-framed construction, which is using things like 2x6s, 2x8s, 2x10s in order to be able to create the roof structure up above. Sometimes they're using combination, trusses and stick framing, in order to frame in these roofs. If that's going to be used, there's a good chance we might not even need to bring this up because this is just all going to be considered underneath the roof once the rest of this front porch structure has been added onto our model. So we're just going to leave those walls the same for right now. At some point, though, we will need to take care of this brick wall and get it up and over because there's currently not a roof over it other than this one many, many feet up above. So in order to be able to frame this out, we need to come over and go to our floor plan. And the one we need to go to is going to be this TOP, which is the top of plate view. Once we're in it, we can't really see too much about what's going on inside of the building. So we need to select on the roof itself, come down to the little eyeglasses, and say hide category. This will hide all the roof elements. And since we're not drawing in any roof elements, that's fine for us. Next, we need to add in some walls that are going to come around here and wrap around. Now, in reality, will you usually be actually framing this in with walls if you're going to be building this out in the field? You can make an argument either way, I suppose, but probably not. But you will have some boards you're going to be attaching your siding to so that it has the right appearance. And this could be on the outside of any trusses, stick framing, however way you decide to frame this. But in order to best show this inside of a Revit view, oftentimes using walls, even if it isn't for their exact intended purpose, works out for the best because walls work really good for showing off items like siding. They're also structural in the fact that, well, you're going to be framing to whatever the members are you put up here anyway. Using walls is going to work nice in order to show this and give you the right level of detail that you'd expect to see on the outside of your building. So I'm going to come in here to this corner first. I'm also going to take a look at a few properties of this walls. The first thing I want to take a look at is I want to look at the exterior side of these walls, and we need to have the siding at porch wall be the one that's used. If you select on that, next you'll see that there's a base constraint to it, and that is listed as being top. That is fine, but it needs to come down -1 foot 4 inch, so it's going to be supported properly on these columns, or at least come down to there where any of the structure might be hidden behind the walls. Next, we're going to have the base extension, and with the base extension, that should be 0 feet 0 inches, just like it says. For the height, it doesn't really matter what the height is as long as it's tall enough that you can easily see it. In this case, it happens to be defaulting to 9 foot, and that works just fine for me. We're going to come back in here and clean this up after the fact anyway. We have a gable roof that we need to deal with, a sloping roof that we need to deal with. So no matter what the height is, there wouldn't be a correct one anyway because it just wouldn't automatically clean it up by default anyway. But this is just fine. You want to do it to the finished face of the exterior, and then come over here to the edge of this wall and click whenever you get that box. When you come straight down, you'll see that the wall is on the wrong side, and if you hit the space bar, it'll flip it over to the right side. Now move straight down. And how our design has it is to come down until it gets to this point, 5 foot 10 inches down. Click, move over. We want this one to go 22 feet in this direction, which takes us to the same location on this column as we were on this column over here. Next, move straight up, and we're going to tie this wall directly into this big wall over here. Once they're connected, you can hit escape a couple of times to get out of that command. Now, if you happen to see one of these walls dying into this wall, like right here, you may not want it to be that way. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's not really a nice, clean design. So one of the things that you can do is you can highlight on the wall, select it, right-click when you see this dot, and do this thing called Disallow Join. That will allow you to pull the wall back without it automatically trying to clean up there at that intersection. Next, we need to do the same sort of thing over here, and it's going to be a wall, and another wall. So in order to accomplish that, we're going to once again use our wall tools. Make sure you have the exterior siding of the porch. Make sure that all this information is the same as it was over here. For me, it's a little bit easier if I just pick one of these corners and kind of start to draw from there. So I'm going to select this corner right here in the lower left. I'm going to hit the space bar to flip the wall to the other side. I'm going to click, and then I'm going to click up here again once we get up to the face of the next wall. Just zooming back to make sure that I have the right surface picked. In this case, you can see once again it's trying to clean the wall up well on the inside, not exactly where I want it to go. So if I select on the wall, right click and say Disallow Join, I can pull this thing back until it's flush with the face of that wall. Now let's go ahead and draw in one more wall. We need to be able to enclose this in. So just click here at the intersection of these. This looks like it's already drawn in the right direction, so that's a good point. Come back. That looks pretty good. It should be enclosed just like that. Now, we're still going to need to, one, clean up these walls so they're at the right elevation relationship to the roof up above. And then two, we also need to put in a ceiling in that location so that we can't see the structure up above. And so we can also insulate that area because we have it open going into where our roof space is in our house as well. I think I'll go into my 3D view so we can take a look at this first. Now that we've done that, we can see our roofs up here and our walls are way, way up high. To fix that, select on the different walls you want to join and do this attach top base like we did in the other locations. Select on your roof and you'll see how your walls will drop straight down and start to clean up. Do the same thing with this next section of walls. Attach top base on down. You can see how it's cleaned up well with the structure. We need to add ceilings next. That's pretty easy at this point. We can come into our ceiling plans and double click on first floor. Now to add a ceiling, move over to the Home tab and select ceiling off of the list. Make sure that the vinyl beadboard is the type of ceiling that we're going to install. It's a typical kind of ceiling you might see in a porch area. The height offset here is going to need to be adjusted, and so is the location of it. So instead of being first floor, we'll need to bring this to top of plate. Where it has 8 feet, we'll need to drop this down to -1.4. And I'm going to move my cursor to the inside here, and I'm just going to click. Once I've done that, I need to reset this. For whatever reason, it likes to kind of reset itself whenever you click inside of that space. And we're going to change that once again to be top, make sure it's -1.4, and then click inside of that space. You can't really see it from the top here, but it is place that material in. And if we look at this in a 3D view, we'll be able to see that we now have some grayed out areas right here, as well as right here, and those are the ceiling objects that we placed in order to fill this area in where all the structure, insulation, all that kind of stuff is inside here at the top of the porch. Now the only thing we're going to have left will be to actually finish this off by fixing this wall so it follows the profile shape of the roof up above.